Hey everybody, it's Jillian. Good morning. Happy Sunday. Such interesting times we live in. Really, such interesting times we live in. I was chatting on the phone yesterday with a friend of mine, watching all the different videos and reading the articles on Facebook about Prince Philip and his death, and then people's, I don't know, people's interpretation of his death. Uh, we learned in the conspiracy world about bloodlines and everything. And that's a trip, but the whole thing with the bloodlines. Like, why do the Mormons keep track of ancestry? Why do some cultures, some religions keep track of ancestry background? Why are some cultures deemed more, are deified, look very godlike? And, I this still goes back to the Greek and Roman days, back when Greek mythology was actually Greek reality, and today it still is Greek reality. Greek mythology is really not mythology. The gods, I don't know, this is a trip. Why everything turned to mortality. And so when you look at these bloodlines, first of all, you look at the start of the cradle of humankind, the cradle of mankind. Okay, cradle of humanity started out in Africa, and then all the different people moved to different parts of the world, and then geographical locations, yes, changed their skin tone, changed everything, but then also innovation, because then for a certain amount of time in between the cradle of humankind, then there's a cradle of civilization. So that leap between mankind, who was a hunter-gatherer, okay, who was like a caveman, then turning into an actual thinking, warring creature, where, yeah, you have civilization, you have wars, you have love, you have all the great stories like Homer and the Iliad and the Odyssey and Troy. And then you have like all the Titans, okay? And then I'm listening to the background of like Prince Philip and all the European royalty, and I think that they have traced their ancestries back to Greek mythology. I think that's why there's this separation of bloodlines, and you have your regular common folk who are just the run of the mill, bred to be slaves, whatever, regardless of color. And then there are those that have been highly innovated, highly divine, because they had the precious DNA that kind of gave them the silver spoon in their mouth. Whether it's not literally, whether, yeah, they're still going to struggle financially, but they have the ability to overcome very complicated types and complex types of issues. And so I've seen here, just watching, people who are doing the J juice. There's a very, I would say predominantly the people that are doing J juice are the people that have, um, that were, deemed as gods. That people are, who are doing J juice seem to have it easier when, I don't know how to say it's politically correct. But if you can balance your melanin to where you're able to um, change it based upon your geographical location, and you're able to overcome all your predispositions, then you have conquered that hormone that does, when that hormone is not balanced correctly, that does contribute to mortality. Not immortality, but mortality. So, so, so I know I'm kind of talking in circles right now because I don't know how to say. I mean, I was talking to my friend yesterday. I'm like, I can't say certain things I'm trying to say to you. I'm saying to you because it's so unpolitically correct. But I'm going to say this is that, yeah, we have bred to be very into a very specific class in our system. There's areas of which that are very classist where you can see the division between the rich and the poor. Okay? And though we're trying to flip that script right now in our current next world, you have to be able to not only flip that script intellectually, okay, but you have to be able to flip that script biochemically. Those that have been having issues for such a long time, socially, financially, physically, well, not even physically, because you can see physically who the stronger people are in our world. You look at the sports, you look at the Olympics, and you look at the breakdown of all the different cultures that go into specific sports, that go into specific industries. Okay? And so we've been bred to be to do certain things. And I'm going to say that the Jilly juice is going to be hard for a lot of people who've been bred to be physically able in our society because you have a lot more to get through. I mean, you saw that video about CRISPR gene editing, right? Where they were able to, they've been playing with the DNA. I mean, there is no such thing as natural when it comes to humans because you want to go back to caveman. You go down to your baser level instinct. Even before the war, you go down to where you're just hunting and gathering and that's it. And then, yeah, you get your instinct to protect. And then there's enough divinity in you to be able to make your weapon so you can go after your enemy. But that's the extent of it. I mean, you've seen, if you watch that video about the start of mankind on the History Channel, or you watch some of the indigenous people who haven't been innovated with technology, it's a very simple society with, yeah, they have their complex things within that society, but they don't have high rises, they don't have computer, they don't have people studying. They might have their own language, but you're not seeing an advancement into that society. So there's definitely been, like, we have definitely been bred to do specific things. And so what I've noticed on the J juice, those that were bred to be very physically strong in our society, to build America, to build infrastructure are going to have a harder time on the J juice. And I'm saying you guys probably need to do it more than those that were not bred to go and build buildings and to go and pick crops or whatever. And so that was something very interesting. So I could see now why royalty is so important, because yeah, they were tracing themselves back from the. I mean, what connected it was that I heard that Prince Philip was like the prince or something of Greece. I was listening to his autobiography. It's something with Germany and Greece. Okay, and so a lot of the European nations have been touched by divinity way back in the days of antiquity, and it hasn't really stopped. I mean, you look at the Pope, you look at Rome, you look at all the, just all the European countries, yeah, the huge statues and all that stuff. And then that they also, like back in the days of Egypt, when they were using slaves to build the pyramids, to build their Babylonian gardens, who did they use? And it hasn't really changed since then. Though America is multicultural, but you still see the division. You still need to see the division. The reason why is because it's biochemical. We're biochemically divided. But the Jilly juice can level that playing field if you can handle the healing process. I mean, if Prince Philip is mortal and he looked like he was aging, and then you're doing the Jilly juice and you're not of a royal bloodline, then what makes them so much better? If you can actually outlive and outperform in body, mind, and spirit, and intellectual and physically and all of that stuff, those that are in, well, not only high levels of office, but in royalty, who deem themselves to be deified enough to wear a crown and have a scepter, then you can see all of humanity we can do almost anything, regardless of your race, your culture, religion, your belief system. And that's what I'm trying to get at, is I'm tired of the division of one race or one culture thinking they're better than the other because they have the innovation, the knowledge, I have the power, whatever it is. No, you all hold it. That's what I'm trying to get across, is you harness your own divine potential to where you're not worshiping a king, a queen, a culture, a race, a religion, or whatever. That you know your own potential, and you can tap into it anytime you want. As to go as far as you want to go, or you can go as you know, you can just stay stagnant, and it'd be your choice. And you can still stay alive too. And so I was thinking, like, us as humans have been so snowed to live in this type of system. I mean, when you have the Brahmins and the untouchables in India, which I don't think is really that, I mean, it's still probably prevalent. When you have class systems like that, that's horrible. Where you can't even rise above your class because of your breeding, because of your culture, because of what family you're born into, and people get stuck in that. And then in America and in the West, like in the UK and stuff, or maybe even Australia, they're able to kind of rise above their class, maybe a little bit, or they marry into a higher station. And that's why a lot of girls, give up their career or give up their potential, because if they can just marry into a higher class, they've made it. They don't have to go to college to be something. They can just go marry into it. Okay? And so it's just like, and so that's why I'm so pressing J juice for women and for men, but it's going to be harder for men because remember, you're bred to be physically stronger in our society. Some cultures are bred to be physically stronger in our society. That's who's going to have the toughest time with the J juice, because when you're bred to be that physically strong, you have a lot of predispositions because of so much bioengineering. When you have so much bioengineering, which is not a bad thing, but it means that there's an imbalance somewhere in your muscular system, in your hormones. And that means that when you have to balance those out, it can be rather painful. And some would rather keep their status and stay with the known than deal with the unknown of what it's going to be like. I mean, I'm telling you, you're still going to be, okay, right now I'm putting all my energy in my brain. Right now, all of my energy, I am brainwashing myself into J juice. I am brainwashing myself into understanding the world. And so all of my energy, everything I'm doing right now is geared towards my brain and towards my book. But imagine once I'm done with that and I figure out how to transition to my next project without jumping right into it. But then I go and start working out. I eat a bunch of protein, eat a bunch of food, and I can still exercise my brain. I could have a great body and a great brain and be very well balanced. And yeah, it might be a little painful to morph my body with more muscles. But then I drink J juice, I eat food, I release the excess, and then I re-bioengineer my body based upon what my interests are at the time. Okay? So that's really an interesting thing, is the more physically you were bred to be very physically strong, to be physically adept, to be physically everything, to do the J juice is going to be physically not impossible, but it's going to be a journey. I don't think I've seen anyone that is, right now, there's like very few and far between people of color doing my J juice. There's one lady that I see that she'll make it. I don't see too many males of people of color doing the J juice. I see mostly very, very European, lightly melanated people doing the J juice and finding it easier. And I've said this before, but I didn't go to this depth because, of Prince Philip and the royalty and the bloodlines. But yeah, I mean, you look at the Chinese, the dragon bloodlines, which is like the dragon family dynasty or whatever, I think in China. There's so many different bloodlines. And I'm sure they trace it all back to antiquity, because they were highly bioengineered, highly divinified by the gods. And then they gave some of you a little bit of innovation, but not too much, because remember, they need to control you to build infrastructure, to be a performer, to be an athlete. And then they throw a lot of money at you, at whoever, to then promote that, to reinforce that. So we have such a diverse society with so many different talents and so many different interests and entertainment. Okay, but I want you to understand, biochemically, we're bred to be unequal. We were bred to be divided. And now I'm saying we can now level the playing field and compete on a level playing field. But the only way you can really do that is at the biochemical level. It's very hard to conceptualize and intellectualize competing on a level playing field if your biochemistry is not up to par. If you have such a crazy gut with so much issues with it that you can't even clear your head to think in a rational, logical, reasonable way. If you're still stuck in the dogmatic points of view, where you're still wanting to fight, feed, flee, reproduce, and all of that, and there is nothing more except for that. And if and I'm telling you, there are religions out there that are very dogmatic, that some cultures gravitate towards. Okay, and there's a reason behind that. I'm telling you, politics, religion, and science can be used as methods and tools of control. Okay, and this is where the Jilly juice and the salt and the pain, dealing with pain, is going to have you rise above your station. Rise above whatever you're bred to do in our society. I got lucky enough to be adopted by a family that was probably highly divinified. To what extent, I don't even know. But I'll tell you, my mother, my adopted mother, is very extraordinary, very intense, and I've outgrown her. She's outgrown me. But I got lucky to be innovated by that family, as much as it was difficult. Because let me tell you, when you have a lot of difficulty and you don't die from the difficulty, you'll become an extraordinary person with amazing talents relative to what you've been bred for. I was being bred to study my ass off. And here, what am I doing today? I'm studying my ass off. Okay? So, the outcome is the intention. So if you want to breed yourself into something, first of all, you have to clear your gut. And you have to realize that then if you don't have somebody breeding something into you, okay, if you're in a family or in a community where the only thing is available is just low-level jobs or whatever, then you have to go bring in your own divinity in your body. You have to then put your head towards something. Let's say you want to learn computer coding. Let's say you want to learn real estate. Let's say you want to learn property management. And then you clear your gut. You get all of your issues and predispositions completely cleared away. And then you zero in on what exactly you're trying to aim for. And you don't let anyone or anything get in your way. And you study and you study and you balance your body, mind, and spirit. And then you go and take the test to prove that what you've done sticks. Okay, and then you go and then you find to be an intern. You go apply for that job that is entry level, or you intern or you volunteer. You find a way to get experience, and that's how you break into any industry out there. But you have to clear your gut and figure out: do you want to stay with the breeding that you had that was given to you through your biochemistry and your community, or can you breed your own innovation, not subject to somebody else's intention? That's what I'm trying to get across to you guys. That's how you take your power back. Because we were not born into an egalitarian society, and you know that. But I'm offering you guys a possibility to be able to compete on a level playing field without having your predispositions hold you back, and your culture and your families and your friends hold you back. Now you are able to break free from those bonds. And that's right. That's what I'm discovering. And that's what I'm working on towards right now. It's getting easier to write. I'm still dealing with all this stupid variant stuff, but that's evolution. Some cultures are going to have a harder time with it than others. Okay, no matter what, if you're not going to deal with your pain, you're going to have a hard time dealing with the evolution in our society. So yeah, so the royalty is not any better. If they're dying at age 100, which is longer than most people. I mean, dying at 99 is really a freaking gift, and that is longevity in the mortal world. When someone passes away at 40, 50, 60, 70, Prince Philip had 30 years on these people. What gave him that 30 years? Because of bioengineering. And he was bred to be able to handle the innovation in society. Some people don't have access to those resources, and so yeah, they have issues and they pass away quickly, or they deteriorate very quickly. I didn't have health insurance for the longest time, and when I did, I'm paying $300 a month for like 6 months. They're trying to get me on Prozac because of the PMDD. I said, hell no, I'm not going on Prozac. Hell no. I'll deal with this messed up hormonal imbalance. This is back in 2003. So I learned to live my life between 2 weeks out of every month, and then learned how to just fall apart for 2 weeks out of every month. And that was my cycle for many years. No wonder I went and ran away to so many different places, and I lived in so many different places and worked in so many different jobs where I can see everything and understand all the industries, understand, everything. And then my gut, when it's trying to innovate or evolve, then I would just be very, emotional and tell people off exactly how I would feel. And so that allowed me to hear back and understand the world, that I wasn't stuffing the world in my, down deep. I was dealing with the world as much as emotional as it was. I hated the world that we lived in because it was so fake. It was so divided. It was so catty and so, cliquey and so groupy. And I'm just like, this sucks. I can't deal with the corporate world. It's so fucking high school. So then that's when I went out on my own. All right. So anyways, I just want you guys to know that, that you all have access to be able to compete on a level playing field. Some people have it easier than others because they were bred to have it easier, but that's okay. It doesn't mean that you stop. It means that you just have to have you have a higher hill to climb, but you can still climb the hill. And that's all I'm saying is don't give up. If the J juice is difficult because you were bred to be very physically strong, or you had other physical things are going on, don't give up. Okay, don't give up, because yes, there were some cultures that were bred to be very physically strong because they were the backbone of our society, building the infrastructure. When you have the architects and the engineers and you have your worker bees, they're going to breed the worker bees to be strong and also have a lifespan. But that means that when you're doing the J juice, you're going to have to deal with a whole lot more. And I don't want you to give up. A person of color, a person of non-color, you do not give up on the J juice. You deal with all of your hypertension, your predispositions, and you're not going to die if you still keep doing the J juice. Because you have to be able to compete on a level playing field in body, mind, and spirit. That means intellectually too. To where then you can go and take a test on something and go and direct your mind towards something that maybe you thought you couldn't do because of where you came from or what was told to you. And then you find out that, wow, these concepts are not that difficult. Wow, I can learn. That's what I did when I was studying for the Ohio insurance exams, and for California. California, it was hard too. I learned both. I passed both the life and health and the property and casualty, and I knew nothing about insurance. Never was, raised in or background and nothing. So I just went into that industry cold turkey. But I took the test manuals, the practice test manuals, and I found a system. Okay, and this was innovation that was taught to me way back when I was a kid in my room, looking at stuff, doing lines over and over and over again, like 24/7 because I lied or something. And I would go and I would type out every single question and look up the answers and then memorize. And then I would do, so there's methods to where I would learn how to pass tests so I can get into an industry and learn the business and learn the sales side and learn all the different things. So that's the thing, is that you learn how to actually focus your mind. But your mind has to be clear, but it means your gut has to be clear. It means you have to basically reverse all of your predispositions, like all of them, to where then you can sit back and relax and just study something and write something and study and start constructing your life, and you be the architect of your life in whatever it is that you want to do. And you're not relegated to what your predecessors were relegated to: heart attacks, strokes, where they're dying from heart attacks, strokes, and hypertension, and cancer, and disease, and chronic illness. That won't be in your future. But you have to deal with the physical pain. And again, yes, some people were bred to be very physically strong, which means that going on the J juice is going to be that much more difficult than other people. But it's not without its benefits. There are many benefits if you can get through the different plateaus with all of your healing. And yeah. So anyways, that's my Sunday morning sermon for all of you guys. But don't let bloodlines, don't let class in our side, don't let skin color dissuade you think that you can't do what they can do. Okay? Because you can. I know once I'm done with my books, I'm going to work out. I'm going to start paying attention to a little bit of my wardrobe, maybe. And I'm going to have a very well-balanced everything. I'd be very smart in the brain and take on new concepts and new industries and be very well-balanced in the body as far as muscle tone and what is relatively acceptable. Am I going to have a six-pack? No, but I want to be able to have some kind of definition. And so I think that there is a good balance where I'm not totally overly cut, but I have enough definition and enough, and hey, there's a lot of things you can do in our society. And then you can go travel and you take the vaccines and you'll be able to handle them, and you won't be afraid of them and all that stuff. And so then you have so much freedom in our society when you're balanced in body, mind, and spirit. But right now I have to overcome the challenges in my brain as far as the writing and probably the speaking too. And once I conquer that, then sky's the limit. And that's the thing. It's always meeting your goals, always making your tiny goals and achieving them, and then setting new goals. And it's a constant. Okay. So, and that's what life is going to be for all of us on the J Juice, is a constant setting goals and achieving them, setting goals and achieving them. And that's really all there is in life. And then that's your satisfaction, is that you actually are able to achieve the goals that you set out to do. It's not some pipe dream. Happy Sunday. Bye.